Hello, and welcome to Not Too Shabby, the Chimney Corners Camp podcast, featuring camp directors Shannon Donovan Monty and Abbott Pittman. In each episode of this podcast, Shannon and Abbott will share crazy camp stories, let you in on some camp secrets, tips, and tricks, talk about life at Chimney, and even pull the curtain back on how camp runs from behind the scenes. From staffing to activity planning to the friendships we make along the way, join us twice a month for your camp fix.
What's up, Shannon? How's it going?
Good, Abby. How are you?
Pretty good. It's warm here. It's unseasonably warm here.
It is. It's a nice little break, but yeah, it doesn't quite seem like December. It's so warm.
Right. Yeah. Well, for me, it does feel like December because I have gone to the Great Barrington Bagel Company and I bought 24 bagels, which are sitting in my freezer. And because I don't want to drive to go pick up groceries, Shannon, I just have a bagel for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that is, for me, the quintessential winter experience in the Berkshires. I do not want to drive to the grocery store, so I'm just going to take a bagel out of my freezer.
Huh. I didn't realize you love bagels so much.
Yes, you do. My first job was at a Brugger's Bagels.
At a Brugger's Bagels?
I told you that in the first podcast.
Oh, my gosh. I love a Brugger's Bagel. Yeah.
Do they have that up here?
That's a great question. I'm
England?
pretty sure they have it in New England. I feel like I've seen them in Connecticut.
Okay.
And maybe in the Boston area. For those of you in the listening world, the Berkshires doesn't have a lot of the things that you have in Boston. We have to drive really far to go to any place. Like if you live in a city like New York City or the greater Boston area, you're probably really used to having things like Brugger's Bagels or Starbucks or something like pretty close to your house. And not so much for us.
Our closest grocery store is 25 minutes away.
Yeah. So if you're feeling like you want to settle in, and isn't it funny when the days are so short? I feel the same way. Like I get home and the last thing I want to do is get in my car and go anywhere. So
yeah, same. I want to play The Sims.
Yeah. I saw a thing this morning about bears hibernating, and I saw this bear, and I guess bears don't truly hibernate, but they slow down a lot. And
like they're in slow-mo.
They're in slow-mo, and they were showing this bear, and he was getting all comfy in his bed, and I'm like, that's kind of like me this time of year. I get into my nice comfy spot, and I settle in, and I
don't do much else.
Don't want to move. It sounds like you're a little like that too.
Yeah, and I keep myself fed with Great Barrington Bagel Co. bagels.
Right.
Yeah.
Mostly because you can't get to the Brugger's Bagels.
I again didn't know there were any in New England.
Yeah. Well,
so.
We'll keep an eye out.
Keep an eye out.
Yeah, that sounds good. You know what's coming up for a lot of people, and when I was a kid, I lived for this, but it's vacation time coming up, I guess.
Winter break. You know, one of the big reasons that I decided to go to college was that we got a month off between semesters. My mom was like, but you'll get a month off between semesters. I was like, oh, sign me up.
Right.
That sounds awesome.
I know. I know. It's so funny. It's like, I think we talked about it last time, but school was not always an easy place for me. So I think sometimes, just like I would live for summer, I would sometimes live for those breaks from school where, I got a little break from school.
Yeah. Likewise, especially up until high school, like I was not a strong student. I had friends, but there wasn't really, I wasn't quote unquote popular. So me too. I really enjoyed my breaks. I really enjoyed just hanging out at home with my family.
Yeah. I think back to that time a lot too about, what was it always about school that maybe, I didn't like or why I always wanted to get away from it. And, because there's a lot of kind of cool things about school too, but I don't know if it was the like having to be there or, that I missed home or what it was about it. Do you remember feeling that way?
Absolutely. And was it leaving home when I could be sitting at home and, rotting? And at the end of the day, like glad I went to school, obviously, because I was something to do and I met people and I built social skills and I built problem solving and I guess I learned something. I don't know what it was, but I think thing was just, it was obligation, I think, what it came down to. Like, it's hard to have to, and you start from kindergarten, right? You just go to school. It's just what you have to do.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go to, and then you're, you know, you have your summers free, and it's like freedom.
Right.
And then you have to go back to school, and there's obligation again.
Right.
I think that was probably it. What do you think?
I think so. And I think so much of how we feel about something is just a frame of mind or how we think about it. And, you know, and I think sometimes when we tell ourselves, oh, this is something I have to do, or, you know, like you said, obligated, it creates a frame of mind. And I do think as I've gone along, I remember I was talking to somebody because I was changing camps. And it was a really big deal.
From Tanaduna?
No, this is actually a little bit farther down the line. It was when I was leaving Camp St. Croix to move out east. And I was really sad about it. And I was thinking about all the friends I was leaving behind. And my friend said, her name's Michelle DeFore, if you're out there in the listening world, said...
I love when you do that.
But she said, you know, what really helps is not to think about what you're leaving, but think about what you're going toward and where you're going and all the things that you're excited about. And I think that's sometimes, like, I think the times I really got into school was when I found something that really was something that I was really excited about. Because I remember in 6th grade, you know, we did these really fun science projects where we learned about nutrition, and we got to work with, we actually raised baby rats, and we fed them all different.
Cool.
We fed them all different like diets. Like we gave junk food to one of them, and then we gave them really like a really nutritious
You're doing
meal.
experiments on animals in public
I shouldn't even
middle
say
school?
that. I know, it was back in the olden days.
What?
I know.
Wait, that's actually wild.
And no, it was kind of wild, but it was interesting.
Yeah,
you know, it was really
course.
interesting. And then I think everybody people took the rats as pets at the end, which I'm sure many of those family members really appreciated, you know, was this new rat pets. But, you know, and I think especially an inspired teacher can make such a difference.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, we all have that teacher that we look back on and we think like, that person changed my life. I would not who I am without that person. Mine for me was my English teacher. It's always an English teacher.
Yeah.
Miss Price, my 9th grade English teacher, who was just, I mean, I don't even know how to describe the impact. She made you excited to learn. And I wasn't a big reader. I was not a good student. But she managed to bring out the skills that I did have, which was like public speaking and like poetry, and allow me to really blossom within those skills instead of holding me to this standard.
Yeah. And nothing like having a grown-up just have some faith in you and believe in you and encourage you and teach you something new, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's an excellent segue, Shannon.
Yes.
To talk about camp.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard about it. Yeah, I've heard about it. And, you know, this is a time of year where I think a lot of people are, you know, you're somewhere in between the end of camp and from last summer
right.
and the next summer coming. And I think one of the things that I think sometimes happens is that, you know, when we leave camp, we're hugging our friends and we're crying and we're remembering, you know, the whole experience. And again, it's that whole thing, like what we're leaving behind instead of what we're going toward. And this time of year, now we're a little bit farther away. And, you know, maybe we're thinking about school a lot, which is a little bit different, you know, and maybe some of our friendships at school are kind of up and down. And so now we're looking ahead to camp, and maybe suddenly we're feeling nervous about camp again, even though we know that it was so much fun and that we were so excited to do it when we were in it. You know, but now because maybe some of our memories have faded, we're starting to look ahead and be nervous. And that's so normal, you know, for that to happen.
Right, absolutely. And yeah, I like think back on I loved college. I loved going to college. In fact, I loved it so much I went again and then again. But I loved it, but every semester when you started in class and you had syllabus day, did they have
yes.
syllabuses in the 20s when you went to school?
Yeah. Well, they wrote it on concrete slabs and they chiseled it in there, and I had to carry it around with my horse and buggy. But yeah.
Yeah, syllabus day, where if you don't know what that is, it's like the first 2-3 days of the class, and you're just sitting there listening to the professor drone on about what you're going to learn. Like, I just want to get right into it. You know what I mean? And as much as we would love for that to be the way it is at camp, we have a syllabus day at camp. We have like a syllabus 2 days at camp.
Yeah. And you know, and that's when the butterflies come again, and you're like, oh my gosh. What have I gotten myself into?
Right.
And that's like what we remember maybe when we're on moving toward it. Now we're starting to remember that it was a little bit hard in the beginning. I have a secret or something that's very funny about me is that
it's very different from a secret. You can't just
not a secret.
Those are two different things. A secret and something that's funny about you.
Something that is funny about my past that
Okay.
No, this is funny that every year that I would start at a new camp or a new school or, a new experience, I always would have my moments of crying and seriously thinking about like leaving.
Yeah.
In fact, speaking of college, I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison.
Go Badgers.
Yeah. And this is how bad it got at one point. I went there and for the, syllabus day or the opening of school, and I was supposed to move into this house, and I got there and I completely freaked out. I'm like, I'm not living here. I'm not going to school here. I'm leaving right now. And I got in my car.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I'm going home, and I start driving back to Minneapolis. It's like 10 o'clock at night, and I'm on the highway, and I'm in the middle of nowhere in Wisconsin, and out of nowhere, I hit a traffic jam. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I was about 100 miles out of, away from the school, and I was like, I think I'm supposed to turn around. And I got off the highway, and I checked into a hotel, and I called my mom, and I said, I can't give up. I got to go back. And so I stayed in a hotel that night, and then I turned around and I went back, and I made myself stay.
Wow.
And it was hard, but I had so much fun at Madison. I met the most incredible professors. I made some great friends. I had amazing experiences, and I think how close I was to throwing it all away.
Wow.
But there was some sort of it was such a wonderful thing that something, the cosmos, got me to stop and to take a deep breath and to turn around. And I'm so thankful to my parents, because I think I just heard something about the best thing you can give your kids is give them roots and wings and encourage them to use both of them. I think both my mom and dad always encouraged me to spread my wings and to, they were always supportive if I, needed to come home and regroup, but they always gave me kind of gentle nudges to get out there and to push a little bit and to be uncomfortable. And I'm so thankful, because if I hadn't done that, if I had not, pushed it a little bit, if I had not allowed myself to be uncomfortable and to be sad sometimes, I would have missed out on so much. I wouldn't be the director of Chimney Corners. I wouldn't have met my husband. I wouldn't have my daughter.
Wow.
I wouldn't have my puppy, Daisy.
High stakes.
You know what I mean? My life would have been so different, and my life would have been small if I had, if I hadn't powered through.
Right.
And I think you want to live as big a life as you can. And spread your wings and to try new things,
Yeah.
I think of how brave you were to come up north with us, all us people up here in the North
all the
Country.
way from Florida.
All the way
Why
from
did I
Florida.
do that in that accent.
I don't know.
When you're telling your story just now about college, and you had transferred, is that right?
Yes.
So you had done a couple years of college, and why again did you transfer?
That's a good question.
You don't remember? I mean, this was 1840s.
Well, yeah. My homestead burned down. No.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I was in Montana, and I was there for 1 year, and I did love it, but I maybe loved it a little too much, and I wasn't doing as well as I could. And I knew Madison was actually such a great school.
It's a good school. It's like
and
a highly ranked school.
yeah, and I think I got in, and I just was like, this was the opportunity that I needed, and I needed a school that challenged me a little bit more. Not that, again, University of Montana, great school, great location, but what it specialized in probably wasn't right for me.
Fair enough. Well, your story reminded me of my first experience at overnight camp.
Oh, tell me
and
about
I
it.
did 2 years. I did 2 weeks total, 2 separate summers of overnight camp. And you had mentioned sort of like going to Madison and turning around, and it was just like overwhelming and hard in the beginning. I cried for the first 4 days of my week-long overnight camp.
Oh, my.
A 6-day overnight camp. I cried for 4 of them straight. It was hard. It was a horse camp.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I liked the horse part. But I was just crying and crying. And I remember my counselor, I was crying to them, and I was like, I just want to go home. I can't do this. And they were like, yeah, I'm not calling your mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was so cruel in that moment, because you're a kid, and like for the most part, you expect to receive empathy when you come forward with showing your feelings like that. And I was like, all I need is for you to call my mom and tell her to pick me up. And this counselor was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And that was probably the greatest thing that counselor could have done for me. I mean, imagine if my mom had picked me up, I wouldn't have gone the next year.
Yep.
I would not have and I have very specific memories of my mom, like going to that camp and getting to be with horses, and I loved horses, and I was a horse kid through and through, but my parents couldn't pay for lessons. And then when they got to the point where they were like, hey, it's time for you to choose a sport, and like, we think we can make horseback riding work or ice hockey. I had to pick ice hockey.
Yeah.
Because I had gotten this amazing experience at camp, and I was like, you know what? I think I can go without horses. But I'm glad that I got that experience, and I don't think I would have ended up playing 9 years of ice hockey if I hadn't gone to camp, which sounds fake. It sounds like I'm trying to make that work. I'm not. I mean, genuinely, like, camp allowed me to be close enough to the horses that I got my fix. And then, as you know, when I was in my mid-20s, I ended up buying a horse.
Yep.
Which was a wild choice.
Right.
Yeah. So
that everybody has to make maybe at
everyone
some point.
has to buy a horse at some point in their life. It's a coming of age.
It is. But getting back to that, tell me if you feel this way, is like those hard times in the beginning, I think make each new thing a little bit easier.
100%.
Because you start to realize that new things are just hard, and that it's okay that it feels clunky and awkward, but you do get through it, and getting through it. And the only way to the really good stuff is through the kind of hard stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, and, we've been in that situation, that we do have empathy because we've been there. We've been sad, and we've missed our family, and everybody misses their family at some point, because we have great families. We're so lucky. We have people that take care of us, and it's so normal to miss them and want to be with them all the time. But if you take a minute and think about, and COVID gave a lot of us a little taste of this, is what if we never left our parents' side? What if we just stayed with them all the time? Wow. That sounds like nice, but it's not. It's not nice. It's not the way we're supposed to live. And so you don't want to have to cling to somebody all the time to feel okay. It's just not a way to live. And it takes all the joy out of that thing. What's really great is like being with your family and then going out and having an adventure and going and doing different things and then coming back together and sharing your stories.
Right.
And, and your family is there, they're your base. They're your, they're the base
Your
of
safety net. I mean,
Yeah.
they're so crucial. Absolutely. Yeah. That reminds me of that quote. I want to say it's Dumbledore from Harry Potter.
Okay.
But it's, knowing me, it's probably like from Star Wars. But it's the quote, like, sometimes you have to choose between what is easy and what is right. And it's so easy to just sit around at home and not, and be like, I'm not going back to school. I'm not going back to camp, and not have to do that hard part of it. But like you mentioned, we build callus, you work with your hands a lot. You build those pads on your hands that eventually make it so that you can like touch hot coals, because your hands are so calloused from doing the hard work. I mean, that's how it works. And we use callous so derogatorily. You're like, oh, I'm so calloused. But like, that's a beautiful thing that your body creates for you. And the same goes for your ability to handle difficult things and adversity. Like, you're going to strengthen in the same way that, like, when you build muscle, you know how muscles are made, Shannon? Do you know how, when you're lifting weights, how does a muscle get bigger? Do you know?
Why don't you tell me?
Do you want to try?
Well, I think isn't it that you kind of tear the muscle a little bit and then it grows stronger in the healing?
It does. So it grows over itself. It calluses itself, essentially. It rebuilds, and then it's like, oh, I guess we need to be a little bit stronger because we obviously encountered something difficult. So let's double down on that. So over time, you keep doing that, you grow bigger muscles, you get better calluses, you become a stronger person.
Right.
Right.
There was a coach, was it a coach at Duke? She was like, I can't remember, and I'm so sorry, and if I can find out who this is. But she gave a speech, and it was about, the idea is not to have things be easier, it's to get better at doing hard things.
Yes, that was a coach of like a basketball team or...
Yeah, and that's where that sense of feeling strong and feeling competent comes from. And that's why I think camp does that for people.
Right.
They come out feeling more competent because not because camp was super easy, but camp is fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. And there's a lot of times where it's just cool and fun, but it's also something that's got a little bit of challenge to it and a little bit of, and you get through it and you're like, wow, look at what I can do. And that builds on the next thing, So, I think about my daughter, Bridget, and this is, this is true for parents and for kids. So, Bridget went to camp when she was 8, and I know everybody says, oh, well, she was right there at your camp, but I also sent her to other camps, and we still were apart from each other, and there was still, some distance, but every year that she went away for camp, like, she got better at it and I got better at it. And I'm so thankful that we had all those baby steps of being apart. And then Bridget got on a plane and went to China with a whole group of teenagers for 5 weeks. And it wasn't easy for either of us. We missed each other. But oh my gosh, she had this amazing adventure and she got stronger and braver. And then she, went away to school, and then she moved across the country to Spokane, Washington, and lives a big life. She's lived in Spokane, she's lived in Omaha, she's driven across country multiple times. She met an amazing human being who's her partner and husband, Ryan, and none of that would have happened if we hadn't taken all those baby steps to learn how to let each other go and let each other live big life. We all have to remind ourselves of that. Our goal isn't to, hold people so tight that they can't breathe. Not to cling so tight to something that we don't, have any other experiences. And camp is such a cool place because you can be out there and you can have adventures and independence, but we also know there's this kind of cool safety net of there's all these great counselors and staff members and friends who, when it does get hard, they're there to kind of pat you on the back and cheer you on and help ease that little bit of struggle,
Absolutely.
that's inevitable.
Yeah, absolutely. That I think is something that Chimney does so well. Having, worked at other overnight camp and day camp, Chimney, just the way that community is built here, it makes it so those kids genuinely want their peers to succeed, but also challenge themselves.
Yeah.
And that's one of the beauties of this camp, and helps the kids build that muscle, build that callus, learn to do hard things, and be supported if they fail.
Yeah. And I think the other thing I've learned from watching people and experiencing it myself is I think sometimes we think like, I'm going to cry and I'm going to feel that way forever, or I'm going to just be. And the truth is, we know this is what we know is true, is sometimes we're sad, but it passes, and then we're happy, and then maybe we're sleepy, and then maybe we're crabby.
I'm always sleepy.
I'm always crabby, but it's like we move through emotions, and we're so afraid of some emotions, yet they pass.
And they're important.
Yeah, and they're important. Yeah.
Yeah, we talk. You talked a little bit, Shannon, about camp and how it builds strength and it allows you to fail. And it's sometimes days are going to be hard, especially syllabus day of camp, when Gwen talks to you about where you're allowed to roam and all of those things that you're supposed to talk about on the first couple of days and to pick your activities. And the same goes for like those of you who are listening on your vacation. You're dreading going back to school. I mean, yeah, the first couple days they're going to be a bummer. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you're excited to see your friends, and that was a huge silver lining for me. I mean, I loved seeing my friends in school, but that's gonna be it's gonna be hard for a couple days. But guess what? You're gonna get through it.
Yeah, and and the thing is that, remember, education is your education. It's your life. It's your experience. I think the biggest trap we can all get into is doing things for other people or doing things because we think we're supposed to. Find the part of it that's for you and for what you really want. I think people talk about at Chimney Corners that they figure out how to be their true self.
Yeah.
And being true to that, like not letting all the shoulds come at you and all the who you think you're supposed to be. I think the biggest trap is to live a life that you think other people think you should have.
That's very well said and very wise, Shannon, but that makes sense considering you were born in 1776.
Exactly.
You had a lot of years.
And the whole revolution.
And that must have been a wild time for you.
It was so wild.
I mean, gosh. Well, we are wrapping up this podcast number 3 for us, which is pretty exciting.
Oh, can I tell them about a couple fun things?
I would love it if you did that.
So with the break coming up, I'm gonna do a fun little Bonnie Block thing on Facebook and Instagram that maybe you could even win a mysterious prize.
Say it right.
Mysterious prize. We'll give some clues and some different fun things. Also, we'll look for other kind of fun things for you to do over the break and some fun things to be a part of. So look for that.
Well, we wish you guys a happy holiday season, and we hope you enjoy your vacation and get excited about going back to school or work or whatever it is you do. And we're really looking forward to seeing you guys in the summer too.
Yeah, we can't wait.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again for tuning in to Not Too Shabby, the Chimney Corners Camp podcast. I do want to extend a special thank you to the one and only Amelia Austin, camp alumni, intermediate unit director 2022, who not only designed the beautiful updated camp map that we have in our camp store, but who also designed our album art for the podcast. So thank you, Amelia. You're the best. We appreciate you, and happy holidays, y'all.